All right, so welcome everyone. I appreciate everyone being here. We're super excited today to have two absolute rock star agents in the house. So we've got Cassandra Olson that I've known for a couple of years, and we've got Sarah Stone Francisco as well. That she has been her full year of real estate just finished and was a rock star Centurion agent. And so we've invited them today to chat with them, to talk to them a little bit about success, because I know that we've got a lot of newer agents that I can see that Jody must have mentioned it yesterday on at Select Success, because there's a lot of names in here that I don't recognize. So this is the most we've had in a long time, because they don't come to hear me, they come to hear the rock stars. So Cass and Sarah, thank you for being here. So we'll go ahead and start, and Sarah will maybe introduce you first, and you can introduce yourself and maybe a little bit about what you were doing before real estate, and then we'll start asking questions. I've compiled a bunch of questions here that we'll ask, and then we'll leave some time at the very end for some other questions and answers kind of as well. So and just remind everyone, if you want to mute your microphones, that would be fantastic. So thank you. And so we'll go ahead, Sarah, why don't you take the floor here and introduce you and kind of who you are.
Sure. So let's see. I've had a few different careers before this. I have a master's in public health and epidemiology and biostatistics from UC Berkeley, and did public health consulting for about 7 years, and then decided that that wasn't my zone of genius at all. And I quit that, and I decided to open up a yoga studio. And so my husband and I moved to South Africa, Cape Town, South Africa, and opened up a yoga studio. And we lived there for 3 years until we got pregnant with our amazing little baby girl, Sparrow. And we moved back home to California to be with family for all of that. And we lived down in the Bay Area at the time, because that's where my husband was born and raised. And then when she was 3 years old, he passed away very suddenly. It was unexpected and obviously very shocking. And I stayed down there to be around family and all of that support, and then moved when I kind of realized that it was okay, it's time for the next chapter of life. We moved up here to Grass Valley. So I've been here since 2018. I grew up just down the street though in Loomis. So, I'm local to this area, or the greater kind of Foothill area at least. And when we moved up here, I switched to homeschooling and really just focused on building up a homeschooling community here for her and us, and, got really into all of that. And then as she got older, it was evident that I didn't really need to kind of be quite as involved in every second of her life. And I just kind of asked, I know God, the G word sometimes makes people uncomfortable, but whatever you want to call it, God, the universe, I just ask God for guidance, which I do pretty much in any major and hopefully minor decision in my life, like what is next. And all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, it took a while, but the kind of the lightning bolt of you need to get your real estate license was like, I never in a million years thought that would ever be my path. And but it was so very clearly true. And so I did, and everything has just followed from that. And in large part because I take Eric's advice.
Thank you. I really appreciate the shout out there at the very end, but amazing. You'll probably need to write a book about the history and what you've done in South Africa and all that kind of stuff. So that's fun. So thank you for sharing that. And Cassandra, why don't you, I call you Cass, but we'll call you, Mrs. Olson or whatever you want me to call you. But, the owner
I like
of
Cass. You can always call me Cass. Yeah.
All right. Good.
So I have an interesting background. So I actually moved to San Luis Obispo to go to college, and I had to drop out of college during the Great Recession of 2010, 2011, because I lost my financial aid due to my dad cashing out his retirement. So I had to drop out of school, and I actually got a job in a real estate office and started working on telecommunications site leasing, which is where essentially you lease cell phone tower space for big cell phone carriers with private property owners. So I worked as an executive assistant for the man that owned this company. And over the course of the 3 or 4 years that I worked for him, he taught me a lot about what he knew and about negotiating and all that stuff that had to do with leasing. So it was a different field in real estate, but I did start working in real estate when I was 19. So fast forward, I met my husband about 4 years later, and I moved up with him, and I actually just lived on big property for many years, and I kind of took a break. And we ended up moving back to Sacramento, and I felt a little bit lost, and I was like, I don't know what I should do. And one of my good friends reminded me, you've been in real estate before. Why don't you get your real estate license? And I went, ding, obviously that's what I should do. So I got my real estate license, and I tried to immerse myself in the community before, because we in California know they take months and months to give you your test date. So I met a woman in hot yoga who said, hey, come with me to the MLS meeting over in Orangevale so you can start to meet people. And the first one I ever went to, I actually met Jamie Jackson.
She's in the house.
In the house. So we clicked immediately, and she said, come to my cheeseburgers in paradise meeting at the Folsom office. And I did. And I decided I didn't want to interview with anybody else. I really enjoyed Jamie's energy in the office. So I signed right up. So it's kind of interesting because I was in real estate when I was young. I took a break, but then I got back into it. And yeah, that's my story.
So it sounds like for us to be successful, we need to get into yoga. Because that's
and you can meet great people in yoga. You really can. And I know Sarah can attest to that too.
Yeah, that's good. So Cass, like on your first year and a half of real estate, what were your sales that you accomplished there when you first started?
Yeah. So first year, I think we closed close to 17, or like maybe we closed 14, but we were in 3 more contracts that we were moving to close. And I think we closed, was it 6 million? I think it was.
Mhm.
But I was partnered with Vincent at the time. And so we worked together. And so it was a collective 6 million between the two of us.
Mhm. And Sarah, on your first year of real estate here in the last year, what'd you do last year?
I did 25 transactions, and I think it was just over 14 million.
So
Yes.
I would have loved to have closed 12 or 16 or 25 my first year. So congratulations, you guys. So that's fantastic. So let's jump right in. Cass, we'll start with you on the first question here that we received is this is again, what was one of the first things that you did that you noticed that worked to generate closed transactions, either by an accident or on purpose?
So it's interesting is I got my license 1 month before the COVID shutdown. So my first year was definitely unorthodox in the sense where I couldn't do a lot of the things that you would normally do your first year, like regular open houses, door knocking, like all that stuff I wasn't able to do. So I had to get pretty creative with what I was doing. And Jamie was so wonderful in seeing my value and actually putting me on the E team my first year, because I wasn't technically a brand new agent. I had 3 years of leasing experience and negotiating experience. So I got on there, and what I found that worked the most was every time I got a new lead, whether it was a friend of mine that reached out or from this E-team experience, I followed up every day because I didn't have a lot of other things to do. So every day follow up, looking at properties every day for these buyers and letting them know either if I emailed them some and how many I emailed them, or if I didn't find anything for them at all, I would text them, hey, no new listings to send to you today. And on top of that, what I found was, we say in this business, perception is key about everything. So what I found was even if someone in my office was like, hey, can you go help me? One of my clients needs to do a walkthrough right now and I don't have the time, I would film myself doing it. And hey, I'm out here, I'm showing property. And what happened was, because of that, people in my sphere that I was already connected to started to see, oh, she just got her license, but she's already working. even if it wasn't my work that I was necessarily doing, they started to see that. So people started to reach out to me directly, because people want to see that you're already working. They don't really want to see us struggling behind the scenes, having no work. And so I just tried to put the perception on it where I just got licensed and I'm already working. So I even say to people, go out and tour homes when you don't have buyers and you don't have sellers, and say, oh, my buyer loves this house, or would you like my buyer didn't like this one, would you like this one? And just put yourself out there where it already looks like you're working, because I feel like the universe, like Sarah was saying, God, the universe, whatever, when you start opening that door where I'm out here, I'm working, then it starts to actually bring you more business. And I'll say that in the very beginning, a lot of people that I knew weren't ready to buy, but 3 years later, because of my continued post, I'm now getting contacted by those people that I contacted in the beginning. When I worked in the office with Jamie, my first 2 weeks, I contacted, I think it was like 150 people just that I knew before, whether it was through Instagram, Facebook, text message, and just let them know I was an agent and got them signed up for my newsletter. And now 3 years later, those people are contacting me saying, hey, I'm ready to buy. Can you help me out? So I think you have to also be in it for the long game. When you first get started, you really think of like, how can I get a deal right now, which is necessary. You need work and you need to get paid. But what you do, what you don't realize is that whatever you do right now could turn into deals a few years from now. And that's necessary. You need deals a few years from now. So yeah, that's kind of how I worked it. I made sure I followed up. It was follow up, follow up, follow up. And yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. So I'll repeat the question there, Sarah. What was one of the first things that you did that you noticed that worked to generate closed transactions by accident or on purpose?
And I'm not going to go too much into this because it's exactly what Cassie said. So calling everybody that I knew, I didn't actually take the tactic of calling them and saying I was an agent. And I doubt that Cassie, you did either, because that's not just who you are. Like, but I mean, Cassie was such an inspiration to me, like being on Eric's calls and seeing Cassie and Vincent and like the early success they had was just so, it was like, oh, it is possible to be successful early on in your career. And whether it's a perception or not, like fake it till you make it, perception is reality. So so yeah, so two things. One is it was also during COVID. So I got my license in May, and I didn't actually start selling until July of 2021. So last year was my first full year as an agent. But nobody was getting to see each other. And so what I did was I just went through my entire phone and I started from A, and I just started calling people like, hey, just to check in. How are you doing? What's going on? How's your life? Just like we haven't gotten to chat in a while. And I would not say a single thing about real estate. It was all about them. And then everybody always asks you, how are you doing? Right? I mean, after somebody's done talking about themselves, they're always going to want to also hear how you're doing. And then it's like, oh, I've just been doing this exciting thing and blah, blah, blah. So that was one thing. And then the other thing was, again, also same as Cassie, posting on social media, because there's just such a wider audience there. Yeah.
No, and I love that, because I know that Jared James always talks about that visibility trumps ability. And so basically you are out there and immediately just grabbed your phone, whether you're on, whether you went live on video or you just like started DMing or texting people, just letting them know that, hey, I am. And I think that's really important, Sarah, what you said is about listening, because you always want to listen. And I've gotten so much business by just listening, and they will always, like Sarah said, will come back and say, so what are you doing for work these days? Then you shared, I'm in real estate. You don't have to tell them I just got my license yesterday. If you haven't talked to them for a little while, they think that you're in business for a long time. So yeah, but I'm enjoying my successful career in real estate. Success, that could be one day. I'm having a successful day. So just, I'm enjoying my career. Beautiful. Sarah, we'll ask this question here, because I know there's a lot of agents that in this time with coming out of COVID and stuff might be struggling, but what was a struggle that you had knowing now what would have done differently?
And I can't narrow it down to one. So there are three
Please.
I came up with. Yeah. So the first one is mindset. like, Dan says it, or, like the market is between your ears. So, people are buying and selling every day, and I am the best person to help them. That is all that matters. That's how I say, right? That's kind of what my thing is. And if you can't imagine yourself as a millionaire, you're probably never going to be one. And there's a book that's called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's an ancient book that with timeless wisdom. It's very archaic, the language in there. I highly recommend reading it once a year or listening to it, but I think it's in chapter 5. That's the most important. If you can't get yourself into the whole book, at least go to chapter 5. There's a 7-step process whereby you identify what it is that you want, what you're going to give up, and how you're going to get there. And like you say that very first thing when you wake up, and then very last thing before you go to bed. And it just sets your mind right, and you start getting into the literal vibration. So, I may not own a house now, but I'm going to, and so I visualize myself and I feel in that house. So that's one thing, is the mindset. Another thing is the CRM. You hear it constantly, like, get a CRM, whatever you have, even if it's an Excel spreadsheet. I didn't really hone in on my CRM until probably the last half of last year. And man, do I wish that I had done a better job of finding it. It's hard to, I think, find the right platform or program that you want to use. I use Chime, and I use Chime in large part, actually not in large part. I use Chime because that's what Eric uses. And I could just see how user-friendly it is and how much it can expand what you can do, because there's so much capability there. And the the return on investment for what you pay for that is, like, by far, it's phenomenal. So I think getting the right CRM. And then the last thing is an assistant. And I could not have done the business that I did last year without a lease. And it's the right assistant, right? I mean, it's like, if you have somebody that's not really that helpful, then they're going to be an expense and they're not going to be adding to your business. But if you can find that right person, it can take you to the next level. And that's, again, where the mindset comes in, because it can be very scary to have somebody else's income as your responsibility. And especially when you feel like you're not generating enough income yourself, don't have somebody be a full-time assistant then. Have it be somebody who just helps you out part-time. The thing that clicked for me was when an agent said to me last year, if you don't have an assistant, you are one. And it was like, oh, right. And I don't have time. There's no way that I can scale this business doing everything myself. You've got to delegate. So whether it's a virtual assistant, you get your mom, your sister, your child to work for you a few hours a week. I mean, not promoting child labor, but they are a tax write-off. Or you hire a full-time assistant. Those are the 3 things: mindset, CRM, and assistant.
Thank you. I love that. So Cass, what do you think on that? Do you need to repeat the question, or are you good on it?
No, I've got it.
Okay,
I think one of my biggest struggles in the beginning was I always felt like I needed someone to do things with. And I think that now, growing into myself, I've realized that actually some things are easier when you do them by yourself, and you don't always need someone to be tagging along with you to get things done. I really appreciate that I had a partner in the beginning that helped me navigate and brainstorm, but also being by myself, I get to do things a lot faster. Also, if one of the things that I wish I had done better was, and can everyone hear me still?
Yep.
Okay. Was speed to market. So a lot of things I used to take a lot of time to think about before I would do them, and I would plan things really far in advance. And really, it's about the speed to market and the consistency to which you do things. I was really scared to learn how to do Instagram Reels, to post to TikToks. I mean, I would do Facebook Lives and all that, but every time something new got added on, and I got told this in the beginning, oh, everything you do is going to change rapidly, because in real estate, we're always changing with the technology. And so when things started to change, and I was just kind of getting used to what I was doing, I would push back a little bit. And so now I've tried to embrace it. and I really try to adapt with whatever's happening. I use my same videos to post on different platforms. I'm still working on even getting more consistent at that, but really learning to just adjust a little bit, be a bit more fluid with what's happening in technology, and to just keep moving with it rather than getting overwhelmed and saying, I'm already learning all of this, I don't want to learn anything else. And that actually held me up for a while. And if I had known what I know now and done Instagram reels 3 years ago when they came out, I would be actually farther than I am now, because in the last 4 months that I've been doing them, I've seen my business grow exponentially. And I think that this is just the beginning, and it's only going to actually get more than that coming up. And so doing things by myself, speed to market, and growing with technology, I think is a really, those are the things. Also not putting so much pressure on myself to do everything all at once. I did get burned out at one point, and I had to take a break because I had a business partner and I was trying to do everything all at once. And I would even chase leads that weren't necessarily great leads. And so if I would have sorted through who I was chasing a little, fine-tuned that a little bit, I think that I wouldn't have burned out to the extent that I did. I also moved states in the middle of blowing up. I started closing 4 deals a month, and then my husband and I decided to move to Oregon. And so that really kind of put this damper on me where I thought, man, I got to do this all over. I've got to restart, which I did. I had to go to school again and get my license again, take all the tests again. And in that time, I paused my California business. Basically, I did very little business at that time. And I wish that I would have told myself, you're in this for the long haul, just keep going. Yeah, I know you feel burned out, but just keep going. Just do these few hours of work a day. And, I'm back in it. I'm working every day now, but I think that the burnout was real for me because I woke up at 6 a.m. every day. And a lot of times I didn't stop working until 1 or 2 in the morning. And I would work for, the whole day. And I would take breaks to walk my dogs. And that was basically it. Sometimes I wouldn't eat during the day because all I did was work. So I think that you have to take care of your body and yourself and your mind, and still make the things that keep you happy and fulfilled important to you and part of your schedule, because you can get lost in this. There's so much to do. I tell people sometimes I could stay up for 3 or 4 months straight and not be done with the work that I could do to make my business better. But I still have to put myself first in a lot of ways. And the business will come if you just stay consistent. You don't have to work 15 hours a day. I mean, I honestly, in the beginning, I think you kind of do. If you want to break into the market as a brand new agent and become successful in the beginning, I think that you have to sacrifice your time at first. But then there has to come a point where you say, okay, I have to get real a little bit. I have to scale back so that I don't hit that level of burnout. But yeah, that's what I think that was one of the biggest things for me, is I wish I would have prioritized my body and myself a little bit more in the beginning.
Mhm. No, I love that. Thank you. I'm writing down notes here because I see that, obviously the dividing your database and, to help you. And I know we discussed that, of taking your database and actually put it in different groups. So you can actually concentrate a little bit on more of maybe the lower hanging fruit versus going after somebody who's, maybe not going to be looking to buy in 1 to 2 years. But you said it on the key. I got a call yesterday that said, hey, we're not going to be buying for 2 years. Do I just say, push them off? Nope. I put them in, but then let the CRM system kind of do its thing. And then maybe I call them every 6 months versus every month or every week. So doing that, I love the accountability partner right there, Sarah, with your lovely Elise, who keeps smiling, which is great. Great smile. But, having that, because it's a lot of pressure. You have a pressure on yourself at the why when you're just, trying to earn money for yourself and your family. And then you throw an assistant in there, and then you're kind of like, but it actually it gets me to work at 7 o'clock because I need to beat my assistant into work. So, it works really well for me because I know that I need to keep working harder for both of us. But as you said, Sarah, you can absolutely it just doubles what you can do. It just really does. And so I like it that, you know, you talked about business development. You got to set some time for your business development, but then you got to spend about 80% of your time doing things that are going to be income producing. And so that's kind of critical for people to see. And I'm excited with the Chime, not Chime, but excited with the Moxie for those with the Century 21 for the Moxie CRM that's coming. That looks pretty amazing. That I'm pretty stoked about that as well. So a plug out to that. So let's go, Cass, on this one of a question that came in, that safety tips for hosting an open house.
This was actually a hard one for me to answer because I think I still struggle with that a little bit. I actually prefer if somebody's there with me, but I have done them by myself before. And when nobody's in the house, I always stand out front. But no one just walks in and surprises me. I usually stand out front and then I walk behind them instead of in front of them. And yeah, I mean, I always have my location on my phone. I have like 5 or 6 people that always have my location. My mom actually also bought me a bracelet that us women can wear, that if you're in trouble, you can hit the button and it will alert who has your location and like the emergency services. I forget what it's called. I go look at it, but I actually, it's interesting because I don't hold that many open houses. Really, for that fact is I don't feel totally safe doing it by myself. And to be honest, I've actually found that I get more clients other ways. So Sarah could probably answer this better than I.
I hold lots of open houses. That is like I think that's probably a third of my business, both new sellers and buyers, comes from open houses. And it's been like that from the get-go. So what I would do in the beginning, and this is not answering your question, this part is not answering your question, but this is, you know, how to be strategic with open houses. At first, I was just kind of doing anything. And then I realized, well, certain houses are better for open houses. So I would always want to work in a price point at a house that I thought was going to attract my ideal clientele. That doesn't necessarily mean the $1.5 million house, because there aren't as many people looking in 1.5, but it also probably doesn't mean like the $70,000 mobile home, because I don't really want, you have to do just as much work for a mobile home, and I'll take them all day long, but it's not exactly who I'm trying to go after. So I would figure out, what is my ideal clientele? What houses would they be looking for? And then also, what neighborhoods or locations, because in Grass Valley, we're quite rural, right? So in Nevada City and Penn Valley, like there are areas that are going to get more street traffic, people seeing my open house signs and just driving by and choosing to come in than others. And so I tried to be really strategic about the location. Now I'm only holding my own open. There are some houses that come up, I'm like, I want to hold that one open, but I can't really justify holding somebody else's open house and not my own. I don't know. It's not that I don't think about safety so much. It's probably somebody obviously could take me over if they wanted to. I was a kickboxer in high school and in my young 20s. And so there is a little bit of that scrappiness in me that still feels like, and I also lived in Oakland for over a decade. So there's a bit of like nobody's getting anything over on me. I don't know that that's necessarily true. But I do feel like doing them in tandem is good. I actually personally don't like to do them with other agents because, and I'll just be totally honest, I like to handle all of the leads that are coming through the door. But I feel like it's fantastic to partner with a lender. Lenders want to come, and then there's already somebody there that clients can talk to about getting financing. And lenders are usually, especially when you find your preferred lender, they're more than happy to come and do an open house with you. So that's the main tip that I would say is, don't do them by yourself. Get your preferred lender to come and do them with you.
Mm-hmm. And I again, we're not promoting tasers or kind of sprays or whatever it is, but I've about once every month I take my taser out and I put it in my pocket. If I go into something, no offense to Georgetown or some crazy places that I've been to out in the middle of nowhere, but I've put it in there, and there's been a couple people where I've actually gone into a home and there a vacant house that was my listing that I went to go check on it, and there was somebody doing drugs in the bathroom, and and so in his car, you just go with the sense. If you see something weird or out of place, then you don't go in. Facing your car. When I pull into any listing appointment, I put my car and I face it back, forward out the driveway. These are just things that I just do, and just for your easy, quick access. Because it is crazy. I'm jumping in the car. I'm going to go meet a family or a couple today out in the middle of nowhere. It's like they're just calling me. Hey, you're like, it'll be crazy. Are we just going to go invite her? Some strangers inviting me just to go to a house that I don't know who they are, and so you just got to realize that in the rural areas that you want to make sure that every single time that I loved it when Phyllis isn't on with us today, but I followed Phyllis to the house. She was meeting somebody, and then I told her to make sure you take a picture of the license plate, make sure you take a picture of the big truck and the red. And I'm watching her from the other side of the street, and she goes, Eric, there's no license plate on the truck. And so that was first scared her, and then so she was taking pictures, and she's sitting, I see her on the hood of the truck and taking pictures of his license and all this stuff. So I mean, you can get kind of crazy, but you just want to be really, really real careful, because she could share a story about her husband, that she goes, honey, I need you to come help me because I'm a little uncomfortable with these two guys in this house. Well, he went to the wrong house, and it was hilarious. There was everything turned out fine, but we just want to be safe. So I appreciate that. And that's not just on open houses, that's just everywhere you go and who you're going to meet. And I love that. You can actually Find My Friends for the day if you wanted to do that. Let your admin know, hey, this is where I'm going. I always text my wife and I say, hey, this is where I'm at. I pin my location. If you don't hear from me in an hour, then send someone. So that she really likes that. She hates that, actually. But so
just to speak to that, I'm a lot more cautious when I'm meeting buyers out in wherever, especially like men that call me from the internet. It's like right, like back in the day, it's like I protected my phone number like it was gold, and nobody could have it, and now it's literally all over, and I want people to use it, and I think it's hilarious. But like, I'm super careful when I'm going to tour homes with somebody, and I will always let my broker know when it's somebody that I haven't met before. And also everything that you said as well, Eric, about letting people know your location and all of the different safety features. So I think that that's especially important.
So I want to go with what you said there, Sarah, on one thing I took a note, though. You just said you go to open houses to grab buyers and sellers. And that is the huge key, guys, because most of the buyers that are sitting there coming in your doors, we had 18 people that came through my Jeremiah house on Saturday last week. And do you know how many of those people still had to sell a house? Half of them had to sell a house. So you always need to ask that question to go, oh, well, you're coming from Modesto. Well, guess what? We have great agents in Modesto. Let me help you with somebody in Modesto. I mean, you can totally push that. And all of a sudden you're getting a $35,000 to $4,000 check that comes in the mail in 2 months. At the same time, you're closing a house for them. And there's oftentimes you're going to get these checks that maybe you don't even close them a house in your area, but you're still getting checks from them moving out or choosing a different location. So thank you. Let's see.
I have to admit that I need to get better at open houses, but I live pretty rural now. I live 45 minutes from the real town. And so I feel like for me, I really try to schedule my time where I know it's going to do the best for me. And I just feel like that's one area I have to improve in for sure. Like some people out there really do crush it. Like you guys crush it at open houses. So I feel like that's definitely something I need to improve on.
Well, I think, Cass, what you've done too is that you went into some new home builder developments, and you got on Facebook Live and walked around for like an hour, 45 minutes on Facebook Live open house. Like, how do you sit there for 45 minutes? And I joined one of them, and you guys were fantastic. You were like super awesome, and just talking about just things about the house, and let's sit around the living room here for a few minutes and let's chat. And then you acknowledge the people coming in on your channel. They were jumping in, and you're going, hey Eric, thanks for joining us. Hey, did you see the kitchen back over here? And then you would just go back in. But it was beautiful. I mean, you got
the virtual open houses were actually really fun, and they were cool because, like you said, you're actually involving the people that you already know. So you're not necessarily meeting anybody new, because no one's coming through the doors, but you're showing people in your sphere hey, this is what I'm doing. Are you interested in this kind of home? I actually really enjoyed doing the virtual open houses. They were a lot of fun, but you do need two people to do that for sure, whether it's your lender or another agent.
But I loved it because you were getting 400 to 600 people within about, a 4-hour period of time. That how can you hit that on an open house when maybe I have 18 people come in, but they're seeing that you're out there doing it and you're going to get another listing or other future buyers from just busting that out. So I loved it. All right. So let's go. I don't know who I left off with this, who I asked the first question before, but maybe we'll go with Cass. Best lead generation techniques that you have worked for you as a new agent. So best lead generation techniques.
I would say social media for sure. And it's not just about like posting one time on social media. It's about being active every day. And I've also enlisted, I have people that I pay to help me post certain reels. So if you see reels on my social media where my face is not in it, I actually didn't create those. I pay somebody to make those so that I'm super consistent. So I think that social media for this generation is where the new up and coming top producing agents will be, because everybody's on it. But you can't just be one place. You've got to be a few different places. And like, on TikTok where I just started, I'm getting contacted by people from all different states. So I'm trying to see how can I connect them with an agent in their state where I can get a referral fee and, like you said, then get a check in the mail in a few weeks or months for not really having to do work other than having posted your original video. So far, social media has definitely been a great lead gen for me. I'm just getting into YouTube. I know that that's going to be a really great way to attract buyers and hopefully over time sellers, but I'm getting into that. And really reaching out to my sphere in the beginning and letting them know, and like Sarah said, saying hello, asking them how they're doing, letting them know I'm in real estate, and keeping up with those people and continuing to engage with them, not just about real estate. They will come to you years later. And I saw that in the beginning when I was around people. They were like, oh, I talked to this person 3 years ago and now they're calling me, but I couldn't see 3 years in advance. It just seemed so far away. It seemed out of grasp. And so I'd like to tell people you're in this for the long game. So don't lose sight that if they're not ready today, but they're ready in a few years, like you said, Eric, put them in that category in the CRM, remind yourself to engage with them every so often. But yeah, for me, it's really been social media. I'll say number one.
All right, Sarah?
Oh, social media as well, but as also open houses. I think some of my most quality, I think people who are farther along in the process and ready to sell or buy sooner, I've been able to connect with them through open houses. And it's such a relational thing. I think that that's why social media works so well, is because through video, people get to know, like, and trust you. So then by the time they reach out, whether they're already in your sphere or not, they're kind of understanding how you operate. And then with open houses, you're right in front of them already. And I've been able to develop that rapport. And, my goal in every open house is to leave with at least 3 appointments, whether that's appointments to go look for houses with people or appointments to just do a seller consultation.
I love that. Well, because you're concentrating on appointments, because what's going to make us money is appointments. And so you weren't just concentrating on, hey, I'm just going to go help the get the seller, get some exposure for the seller. You went in there for appointments. And so guys need to like set that as your goal of how many appointments that you guys are going to go on. That's important. So I love that. I think that the other day when we were in Orlando, we were sitting in front of the Disney castle. They were about to do the big show and the fireworks and everything. And I just took a picture of it. I put in there, hey, this is an awesome castle. Would you like would you need some help buying your own home or buying your own castle, something like that? And I airdropped it to about 2,000 people that were sitting around me. And Shannon's like, what are you doing? You don't even work in Florida. And I said, I don't care. I'll find someone to sell houses to. And I had like 6 people like responded and they accepted my photo. So Cass, what you said is about taking that database of those individual people And when you go to these conferences and you meet people, I come back with a bunch of business cards and you put them in your database. So then you then start sending them guys to just let you know, guys, Northern California, if you have anybody coming this way. But if you don't, they're not going to remember. This girl right here that was from Alberta, Canada, Angela, who's really cool. We sat there in a class together. You know, is there really going to be, what's the chances of somebody from Alberta or me or vice versa going that direction? You never know, guys. You never totally know. So if she gets an email from me once a month going, hey, just as a reminder, this is who I am, and you have like 500 these agents around the country, you know that they're going to. I know that there's 2 or 3 people that I've got in Idaho that they keep sending me stuff going, Eric, just want to give you an update, give a market update of what's going on in Boise, Idaho. If I have somebody going to Boise, Idaho, I know who I'm going to go to. It's that person I keep seeing because it's the top of mind awareness. So doing that and make sure you do send stuff out to those individuals. So I love that on the lead generation. And guys, I know, please, if you guys have a question, put it in chat and we'll get to those as well. Let's see. Let's go with, have you had, well, we've kind of talked about social media, but the question was that somebody had given us too, is like, have you had many leads from social media posts alone? I guess maybe the question is more Instagram or Facebook. So Sarah?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people contact me, but I do a lot of, I spend a lot of my marketing dollars on Facebook ads. And I don't think that there's any one particular platform that's more valuable than the other, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube. I think that I hear of people getting leads and, not just leads, but clients, people who actually convert into closed deals from all of those different platforms. I think the key when you're starting out is, like Cassie said, not try to spread yourself too thin. You do need to be on all of the platforms, but not at first, because it's such a new kind of a field territory experience. I really recommend mastering one first. So I get the most through Facebook because that's the platform that I started with. But then now that I'm like, I've got Facebook kind of, almost like running on autopilot, not exactly. I mean, you still have to generate the content, but now I'm able to go into TikTok, record the video, and then use kind of the domino effect to post that video on Instagram, Facebook, Reels, and also YouTube. So I think that, again, it doesn't matter about the platform. It matters about the consistency, and just that you're consistent with that platform.
Love it. Cass?
So yes, and I would say that the biggest thing that changed for me was that originally I used my personal Instagram, and I basically just posted stories showing people what I was doing or doing polls and all that stuff. And I still use my personal, but I created a real estate business page where I don't post really a lot of personal stuff, but it's all education. And so since the beginning, people will say, okay, provide value to your sphere, provide value to your clients, provide value. And so what I started to notice was, when we got into real estate, a lot of us didn't know any of this stuff that we know now. And Instagram gives us a really good opportunity to film up to 90-second video to educate people. And it's still a palatable amount of time where people will, if it's something they're interested in, they'll sit through the whole 90 seconds, or they'll sit through as long as they need to learn what they need to learn. And so I will get messages now that say, and what I do is I add, because I'm new in Oregon, and I don't know anybody here. So I need to create business in a place where I don't know anybody. And so I learned a trick that I'll share with you guys. This trick has been priceless to me, and it's going to make me a lot of money in the future. And it already has started to, but it's where you need to go to your local businesses that are in your area. You need to find the people that I've already engaged with their posts. So if you go to your local coffee shop, your county office, your police station, your fire station, all the restaurants that are around you, and there are people liking those posts, you need to add those people to your Instagram or, whatever platform you're using, because those people are in your community and they're active on this platform. So you add them, you like about 10 of their photos and you comment on 5 or 6. It feels a little creepy sometimes because you're just totally immersing yourself in people's lives that don't know you. But if you add 30 to 40 people a day, which is how many people you can add before Instagram will tag you as spam, you will get 30% of those people to follow you back. Those are people you've never met. They're in your community and now you're engaging with them. And I get messages from people I've never met that say, wow, this is such a thoughtful page. You're providing so much value and education. Thank you so much for doing this. And in the last month, I've picked up, I think, 3 buyers. This week, I picked up a $4 million buyer from my Instagram that downloaded my contact information. I have like a link on there where they can download my contact info. And I've already, I've been in contact with him all day, every day for the past 4 or 5 days. He's from Southern California. My reels got seen by like 40,000 people last month. So somehow his assistant saw one of my videos. They downloaded my contact info and now we're talking. And of course, like, I'm still a little leery, like, is this really happening? Like, is this guy for real? So I've been calling Steven, my manager, like telling him what we're talking about, making sure, like, he sent me proof of funds even for a bank account with $5 million in it. And I sent it to Steven, like, does this look real to you? And like, I have Chase and he has Chase. So I'm like comparing our statements and it looks real. And, he hasn't asked me any creepy questions about myself yet. So I told Steven we're 60-40, 60, he's real, 40, he wants to kidnap me. So Steven's going to come with me to the buyer showings when he comes into town, just to be sure that I'm safe. But I mean, if all I had to do was post for a few months on Instagram, just educational reels to get people to see me, which is free advertising, all I had to do was relay a message to them of things that I know that maybe they don't, then I'd say that that's worth every moment I spend. And, I do content batching like Eric does. They taught me this, where I'll go to my office or my house, I'll change my outfit a few times, I'll change the way my hair's pinned up, and I'll just film like 5 or 6 videos in a day. And then I have, 1 to 2 weeks worth of content that I can post. And what I started doing was I film it on Instagram, but I save it to my phone before I, mess with it at all and put any kind of extra text on it. And then all I have to do is just upload it to TikTok. And then it's just there already. I don't have to redo and remake content. And so I know there's other places I need to be posting that stuff too, but for now I've been doing Instagram and TikTok. Facebook has definitely got me leads from my people that I already know. So they see that I'm working and I post, and I haven't posted as much active pending sold lately, which that really helped me in the beginning to post the picture of the house and write, oh, here it's listed or just pending and sold. And you can use the same house to do pending and sold posts. So that was a lot of perception to people, like, oh, you're crushing it, because maybe they didn't see the one that I posted that it was pending, or they think it's a different house. Like, people don't know, they don't really remember what the picture was. So that got me a lot of business through my Facebook. I need to be better about doing that again, but I've been so into the Instagram, because really to add 30 to 40 people a day is quite time consuming, because you actually have to be like invested in engaging with them. And then you have to continue engaging with them. You need to watch their videos, respond to their videos, talk to them. I also, when I add people, I go to who they're following and I type in realtor or real estate. And if they're following 10 realtors, I don't spend my time with them. I don't spend my time commenting on, I go to the next person, because there's so many people you can add in your sphere off those businesses. Don't waste your time if they're already like, if you see the top agents that you're competing with in your area, they're following, skip them, go to the next guy. That's not following anybody, because you're going to be the only person they're in contact with that has that kind of content. So I kind of try to be selective with who I do it, but it takes about an hour and a half to do that. But in 1 month, I went from 300 followers to 573, maybe a month and a half. So I think that says something about the power of that. If you just do it every day, you will inevitably get business through your Instagram for sure.
I love that. It's we got a big Instagram go and a big Sarah for Facebook, which is fantastic. I love what you said there, but because what I love about what both you guys do is that you're in most of almost every single video. Okay, you can actually hire people like Cass. You said you got some people getting on there and being consistent of getting some kind of content on there is important. Either way, your face if your face is in it or not. Sometimes your face will be in it, and sometimes it won't. But I think I love it that you're always doing videos of solving problems, sharing what you guys can do to avoid issues. That's what buyers and sellers are sorry, let me just jump in, but that are wanting to do of those right there. So that's critical because your face is there. Because I know I said, hey, why'd you choose me? And I said, because I see that you're on Nextdoor all the time and you're always answering questions and you're always being there. And so I chose you because I see that you're involved in your neighborhood. And so that's kind of critical and important. So I love what you guys are doing there, and you guys inspire me on just to doing better. So thank you on that. So let's get with this.
Can I just say one thing? So,
please.
Something that I heard on a podcast this morning is, I know because a lot of people I think are afraid to put themselves in front of video because like, I don't like how I look, or I don't like how I sound. It's like, well, you can't go and see a client with a bag over your head. That's how you look and that's how you sound. And you're going to attract the people who want to work with you, and you won't attract the people who don't. And you don't need to be everybody's agent. You just need to be the agent for your right clients. And the worst video is the one that doesn't get posted.
Mm-hmm. And I love that because what you
good. That's good.
Yeah, I love that. Both of you guys, I love what this is awesome stuff, guys. This is good, but I love your guys' content and the way you guys handle that. So it's perfect. So let's go with the question.
To be honest though, real quick, a lot of my content, what I've started doing is I'll be researching other realtors in other states. And a lot of people post static photos with a big long description under it and no video. That's a great script. Just screenshot that. There's your script for your video that you just have to film. I type it up on my computer, print it out, and then I read it to myself a few times, and then I it. So a lot of the videos that I'm speaking actually come from other realtors' posts, and they already wrote my script for me.
Mm-hmm.
So just remember that Jamie always says, don't recreate the wheel. Just find something that works, find information. This guy only got 12 likes on this photo, but I got 7,000 views on my video because I just used his script. So yeah.
I love that. I know that Tom Ferry talks about R&D, research and development. It's called rip off and duplicate. So that's basically what it is. So it's perfect. So I love, let's see, there was I had the thought that I wanted to share with what you guys said, but we'll go to a different question. Let's go with the question here on I think I saw it. Where'd it go? It was wondering how to ramp up to turn out your open houses, especially in those rural areas. I know Cass, we could spend another 10, 15 minutes on this, but I know that that she promoted it so well. You did Facebook events is what she did in the beginning. And then she actually shared it to another friend, and then Vince would actually share it too. So then you got twice as many people to go. So that was something fun that I liked on the Facebook events, and kind of doing that in the rural areas. But I don't know if that answered the question. Let's see, we got Mark. Get one. We'll get mute that one. All right. So anything that you guys have to share on maybe ramping up? I know Tom Ferry's a big fan. Going next door, 5 houses down the street on the right, 5 houses down, or 10 on each side, 5 across the street. Invite them to come to a pre-open house to meet or say goodbye to the neighbor. I mean, those are ideas too. And then
that's how I've gotten my best leads from open houses from the neighbors. Actually, was handing out flyers. I also help my sellers do garage sales before, and then that gives you another reason to door knock, and you're showing people I'm not just trying to get your business, I'm actually helping this person move. I've gotten my best leads from that, actually, seller leads.
All right, perfect. Actually, that Sarah just answered the question right there. Yep, 5 on each side, 10 across. And guys, that's if you're in the right place. I wouldn't go 5 acres, go on 5 acre, 10 acres. That'd be a little tough. But if you're in like a neighborhood, and then you just go, great, and then they'll say, I'm kind of thinking about selling my house in the future, and there's your appointment. So and I love. Go ahead.
So I would, as much kind of posting about it in advance as you can possibly do. So there are different things you can do. You can, you can make a floor plan. So you can either like have the like I've actually done posts where like I go in and I actually like make the floor plan. I like walk the dimensions of each room and then draw it out on graph paper. And then I'm like, oh, look, I'm making this floor plan. And then you post that. And then the next day you have it done like professionally. And then it's like, oh, and I'm going to be doing an open house. And then, also doing a virtual tour, like doing a virtual tour on live, because live in all of the platforms, it shows up higher on the algorithm than any of the other posts. So kind of making sure that if you use social media, you try to do as many different things with it so that you do have static posts, you've got videos, you've got lives, so that you can kind of get, because you can't post too much. So yeah, that, and then the door knocking, and I think so having as many signs out as possible at all of the strategic intersections.
I know.
I know we're in a helium shortage, but I still am a huge proponent of having balloons, because it like it's like shiny and it attracts people. So.
Yeah, they're not having a helium shortage at Disneyland, that's for sure. All right. Question though for you. There's one here. Do you guys pay for any boost from IG or Instagram Reels or any posts? You guys boost anything?
No, I've just done my research to figure out the algorithm the best that I can. And really, it's been a lot from being on these Friday calls with you, Eric. I suggest anybody that's on this call, get on this call every single Friday, because that is the biggest way. And I think Sarah can attest to this. Just, Eric is a stellar agent, and he gives little tidbits every week that are priceless. You can't get them anywhere else. And so I also really appreciate getting to interview your social media manager, Jessica, because she has helped me in a lot of ways try to figure out the algorithm. And then I also follow other agents on Instagram that are obviously getting a lot of views, and every once in a while they'll give you a tidbit of information. And if you tweak your videos just little by little, you'll see your videos blow up. Like I used to put like 10 real or 10 hashtags on a video. I now only do 5, and they're super specific to what I'm talking about. And when I started posting every day, doing those five hashtags and adding topics, they have topics now on Instagram. My views started getting multiple thousands every time that I posted. I mean, I like overnight went from getting 300 views to 1,000, 5,000, 7,000, 15,000, because I tweaked those few things. So I think you just got to find someone, get on this call every Friday. I can't stress that enough to you. I think that was a huge reason why Sarah and I were able to elevate to the level that we were, because Eric's number one. And if you can learn, I always said this, from the beginning, I don't want to waste my time learning from anyone other than somebody that does it the best. Why learn from someone who's, subpar? So the fact that Eric's done it the best and has allowed us space to pick his brain and ask him questions, that is the reason why I don't have to pay for my Instagram boost. I don't have to pay for anything, and I get organic traffic from it.
That's very sweet. And I know I tend to see, like, you came to probably 12 months to 14 months straight, like every single Friday you were there. Sarah did the same thing. And then eventually go, you know what, I'm on my own. And then you kind of go, and then you occasionally pop in to say hi, but you guys always call me and ask me, hey, I have some questions. So you'll see new faces that, a year into it, and like, boom, then I feel like, oh, they don't need me anymore. And I feel really sad, but I still get
I feel like I need you still. I should still be on every Friday. For sure. And if I'm not, it's mainly because I have something happening with my family or I'm with a client. But to this day, 3 years in, I still feel like the most valuable thing for me to do would be to be here every Friday.
And I appreciate that, Cass, because there's a lot of voices out there. I mean, I listen to a couple voices. I listen to a Tom Ferry. I listen to a Jared James. But if I went out and listened to, and I know Cass and I think Sarah, you guys had went out and had a couple of mentors that you guys have been with as well. But if you went and got I mean, there's like 1,000 people who want to go help you in your real estate career. You can't listen to all of them. You just can't. So I think just choose a few of them, your manager, Dan's Friday updates, which are really helpful and stuff. So just kind of keeping that focused, or you'll just go nuts trying to go. You go to YouTube and say how to become the best agent. You got 10,000 videos to watch. You just won't be able to watch them all. And so I'm always like, subscribe. So I want to see, but you're just like, there's just a lot out there. So random question here, Eric, do you smile in your pictures? I know Jessica and I were talking about this yesterday, like, do we rebrand something? Because I know some of I was on this YouTube class that I was on the other day, and they got their banner and they just look like they're having more fun, and I'm just like this, GQ pose, so I don't know, maybe I should smile more. I think it was just a picture. I had my niece, who's a professional photographer, came in. She took about I think 30 pictures. I had 2 assistants at the time. I said, just pick one, and that's the one they picked. So that's just the one they did. So but yes, I know but you do need to see, because I'll go into some places and they'll go, well, you look just like your picture, or like, wow, you don't look like your sign or your picture at all, or wow, you look so serious, and like, but you're so much happy. But yeah, because your pictures will cause people to call you or not to call you. And some people are animal lovers that have a horse in their face on the thing, and that actually will work well, and you'll probably get a bunch of horse lovers, and if you got a dog or a cat, or putting your animal in it. But I'm just more of just me in a tie. So but thank you. All right, guys, we're at 10:01 already. Let me see if there's any more questions. Yes, Jacob, thank you. There's actually a couple classes, guys. Please come to the summit. I'm doing a GTP AI class that with built in with video and hashtags, and it's insane. So it's going to be amazing. So, and I'll talk about getting more listings as well. Please sit on the come list of the panels. I'm happy to do that, and it's really important. My favorite thing of the week are my Fridays, just to give back to people to help build their careers. I've been doing it long enough. I share everything that I have. I'll share all my secrets, because really truthfully, there's only going to be about 3% of you that are actually going to go do the stuff. And 2 of the girls that we've been interviewing today did the stuff. They did what I tell them to do. So if you kind of hang in there and you do it, but you do it your own way, you get creative, you find your own ways to do it. You take what I do, you take what other people do, and then you tweak it and make it your own personality. So, which is great. I think that was all the questions I think we got on there.
I want to answer one more that's on the list. It's, working with buyers, how did you set yourself apart to build your trust being a new agent?
Yes.
I think, and Sarah can probably attest to this, over communicate. Let them know everything possible. Call your mentor, call your manager when you don't know something. Get as much info as you can. Do the research on the properties. Spend extra time when they're interested in a certain area or a property. Spend the extra time doing the comps and teaching yourself the comparables, so that you can talk like you are educated in that area, because you have educated yourself. And over communicate. People, something that what we talked about a few weeks ago was, Eric said, text people back within the first 30 seconds. And you set yourself apart from a lot of people. And that is the truest thing ever. If you are hard pressed, if someone is hard pressed to find a time where they can't reach you, they'll use you every time. It doesn't matter how new you are, because you're available to them. So it is a way, like, I think communication is the number one thing. You can be a brand new agent, but if you do your education, your stuff, and you communicate with people, you'll get the deal every time.
And use your ability to listen to what it is that they want to know when you're communicating with them. Because I think that with some newer agents, there's this tendency to want to just share everything they know to try to prove their worth. And it's like, do all of that research that Cassie just talked about, so that you can be at the ready, be totally ready and available to them to respond to their questions. Sometimes, come out get ahead of their questions, but also make sure that you're in the flow, and you're giving space to them to feel into the house, giving space to them to kind of think about how to move forward. Always let them know that you're there and ready, but it's not your job to overwhelm somebody with information.
Yeah.
That's
And
perfect.
I always like to tell people, hey, out of the 10 things you told me you want, this house has 7 of them. It's missing this, this, and this. What do you think? And that's how they know that you're listening about what they want and you're reiterating to them, oh, okay. And a lot of people will choose a house that has 7 out of 10, but you are telling them, I'm listening to you. I know that this isn't perfect on the bullseye, but what do you think of this? So yeah, that's a good point.
I like
Yeah,
that line.
that was one of our lessons that we had a long time ago. I love that. So I wanted just to talk about that is that, it's about listening. We're problem solvers, guys. We are absolute problem solvers. And if we don't listen enough, how do you solve their problem? And so I love that. So to do that, and then it really is speed to the lead. I had somebody that called yesterday and boom, if you can't pick up your phone, call them back in 2 minutes. And they said, yep, you're the first one to call and you're the only one I'll interview tomorrow. Thank you so much. Because I see that you take your business seriously. And I looked up the house, it's going to be $900,000. So that's where I'm going here in about an hour. So,
Yeah.
you just speed to the lead, because I've been burned. I called, well, yeah, we've already had 5 or 6 people already call. Thank you very much. But, because we are busy, the only time I don't answer my phone is if I'm in the middle of an appointment or on a call like this. So guys, thank you so very much. I'm totally happy to, stop the recording if anybody wants to come and share, because I do want to ask at least one question about, what would be your favorite thing about Sarah? And I'm going to pause. I'll pause the recording here, but thank you guys for listening. So I'm going to